I've always, been pretty optimistic about being successful and things that that I wanted in life. I don't think that I'm better than anybody, but I also don't think that anybody is also better than me. And so, if somebody else can do it, then why not me?
All right. Welcome back to the 1% Bttr Podcast. Today we have on the founder behind powerhouse brands like Pure and Cushley, Cactus Jack, Elevate Media, Body Fuel, Off Season, and most recently, SkyMD. He's built and scaled multiple seven-figure companies across cannabis, wellness, and telehealth. Please welcome Cody Alt. Cody, welcome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So that's my brief introduction, but in your own words, how would you describe yourself?
Yeah, man. I'm a kid from a very small town in Montana, about 30 people. So there's more cattle and horses than there are people. So I grew up, my dad was a logger. My grandparents owned a sawmill, worked on ranches, farms, kind of got my blue collar work ethic from, starting working at a young age and doing hard things. And that's a lot harder than the things that I do now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was about to say you were definitely the minority in that town for cattle, for sure.
Yeah. There's not a lot around, man. There's not a lot to do. So fortunately for me, my dad, I had snowmobiles and motorcycles and stuff like that, so I could keep myself occupied out there in the middle of nowhere and in the fucking mountains. So
yeah, that's you have to keep the mind busy for sure. Going back to those early days, you said that you were really someone that would get physically sick going into a classroom, and I think a lot of people can resonate with that, especially the farther we go into the future now, where there are way more options than sitting in a classroom to be successful. What's really the real story behind that chapter, and how did you start rewriting the narrative of who you wanted to become?
yeah, I mean, so I literally lived for sports, growing up, football, basketball, track, and then in the summers I raced motocross. But I got just enough good grades so I could play sports, really. Cheated on every single assignment that I possibly could, stole homework, broke into classrooms, got the exams and the answers while the teachers were eating lunch. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I just I sitting learning like history class and science and all this. For me, just an early age, I recognized pretty early on that like this shit is not ever gonna fucking benefit me in my adult life. So I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't care. And yeah, like I said, I wasn't a good student. I did what I could or did what I had to be able to play the sports. And I would like to say, if I'd go back, I'd do something different, but I don't think that I would. So if I, I'd be lying if I said that. But for me, I was an entrepreneur kind of, as a young kid, even in high school. I would, so I went to the chiropractor, growing up just from a bad back. I had a little bit of scoliosis and stuff and probably too many motorcycle crashes. But one day I went to the chiropractor and he stepped out of the office for a second to go do something. I saw a white stack of doctor's notes. So I put them in my pocket and I brought them back to school, and I would have a girl in the school like write me doctor's notes. And when they, so I would say that I was going to the doctor, but really I was going to the big town, Missoula. That's like my cousin lived there. It's, population like 60,000 people, but that's like that's the city in Montana, right? And I would go and hang out for the day or whatever, and just skip school, and I'm was into stereos and equipment and stuff like that, and I just befriended a guy that ran the stereo shop there, and he'd give me really good pricing on stuff, and I would go and I'd resell it to people, I was in a small school, but word got around fast. So, I was kind of the speaker guy.
Yeah.
And so I would buy stuff from him super cheap and I'd resell it. And, I did that with another automotive shop too. I always had a nice truck that was kind of tricked out and stuff. And people were asking me, where do you go to get this? So I would, the guy at the parts desk at Blue Ribbon Auto, him and I had a deal that I would refer him to people. I'd get a kickback and stuff that they bought. And I just kind of started my entrepreneur career, I guess, if you will.
No, that's it's got to start somewhere, and
Yeah.
I think the big thing is just figuring out how to make transactions early on, and not really trying to define it in one way. Like you found it in multiple different ways, and I think that's a commonality with a lot of entrepreneurs is figuring out how to make those transactions, but also that recognition. I think at an early age is almost forthcoming for what you did in the future, and figuring that out as far as getting a leg up on the tests and everything. I think you and I come from an interesting standpoint. We're pre-technology and also post-technology kids with how we grew up. One thing that I started picking up when I was in college was putting my phone on my lap and having acting like I was obviously thinking, but you're doing a little bit of scrolling as you're sitting there. I don't think I could get in trouble for this. It's like been over 15 years since I've been in school, so
Yeah,
I think
they're not coming back to take anything from you, I promise you that.
yeah, and my college got sold to another college, so I think I'm really in the clear at this point to
Yeah.
say that out loud.
Yeah, I think the diploma from Cabrini College up there I think is safe.
Yeah. Yeah, that is Villanova ended up buying them out.
Okay.
So I like to joke around with family members and say, yeah, it was great going to that national championship those 2 years as a
Start,
Villanova Wildcat.
start wearing a DiVincenzo jersey around.
Yeah, yeah, you know, just and I do have a family member that did go to Nova, so I'm like my alma mater right here.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
that's cool. I
yeah,
love that.
the small town, especially 30 people. I mean, it's smaller than, speaking of college, most college classrooms. How do you think that shaped your sense of possibility, especially when there's not much around you? Did it spark ambition or did it feel like it was a little limiting at first because you saw all the possibilities right around you?
Yeah, I mean, so like, when you're growing up, you only know what you know, right? So I mean, my dad was, when he didn't finish junior high and started his trucking company,
Mm,
right? And my grandparents, like I said, owned the sawmill. All my uncles did all their own things, whether it was in the logging industry or the sawmill industry. And, even then my dad's friends and, colleagues, they were either ranchers or everybody was a blue collar worker, right? Like, and nobody's, running around there running an e-com company.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So you don't really, you only know what you know, and that's kind of what you think that your life is going to be like too. So, like even, cutting cords of firewood and, putting them in the back of your truck with a cardboard sign with spray paint on it for, $400. You go cut it in a day, sell it. And everybody uses firewood there. So you can kind of go door knock and everyone's friendly and ask, and you can ask if they want wood. And a lot of people did because they don't want to go out and cut it themselves.
yeah,
And also, fortunately for me, my dad was a logger, so he could go and bring a load of logs to my house, and I could just cut them up right in the backyard and load them in the truck instead of actually having to go out there and, uh, you know, cut down the trees and do it the long, extra hard route, right? So
right.
a little spoiled in that sense, I guess. But he's kind of a big helped proponent, and a big area of me being successful in even that area.
It's always interesting. I find that like especially coming from different areas, just the United States is very interesting from a standpoint of like you have your Montanas with 30 people, but then you have your metropolitan cities where you can get someone doing the exact same thing, but at the same time the walks of life, and I would even say the chase to the top of the mountain. There's a billion and one different ways to get there, which is always very fascinating to me. Shifting a little bit, I had the opportunity to follow you for quite a bit now, watch your videos just on discipline and mindset. And I think you hit the nail on the head. And for listeners right now, definitely go check out his channels on YouTube and Instagram, and listen to the message that Cody puts across. Because the one thing that I find really interesting is just when you were sleeping on your cot in your store and showering at the gym, making that transition. For a lot of people, the voice in their head is telling them to give up, so to speak. What was the voice in your head saying, and what type of mindset kept you going when most people typically quit?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, fortunately for me, I was raised how I was of, blue collar hard work. Right. And,
Yeah.
going and digging ditches or building fences or, mechanicking on stuff for 10 hours a day while you're laying on the ground in the dirt
Mm,
and the heat and the oil's dripping in your eyes, is a lot harder than running any business, in
totally.
my opinion, right?
Yeah.
So blue collar work is just a lot harder than anything else out there. Not saying that it's not hard work, because it is, but it's just a different type of work, right?
Totally.
Um, and so I was raised on that type of work ethic, and I was just kind of in the mindset of, you know no matter what happens, I'm probably going to be okay. But, this is my options. These are what, the cards that I'm dealt, that I have laying on the table, and uh, I can fold it up and chalk it up. And I wasn't necessarily worried about being a failure or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to prove myself, right?
Mm,
That, you can just kind of keep going, put your head down. I mean, because I was working the store, 8 to 6 p.m. or whatever. And then I would go and bartend at night,
mm,
and I'd use, obviously the store was doing okay, but the funds from, bartending at night, that was like my food money and rent. But like so I didn't, it was very, very close. Like within a couple of days that I actually had to go move into the store and stay in the cot.
mm.
Um, but I was getting eviction notices because I wasn't paying my rent, because I chose to put the money that I was making into the store versus paying the rent.
Yeah.
And that was just the choice that I made. And I was cooking the meals in the kitchen that I wasn't paying the rent for the apartment that I was staying at, to keep the business afloat, with no license or anything like that. I probably would have gotten in some trouble. I don't know what type of trouble, if they would have found out that I was cooking meals in my kitchen and not a licensed kitchen and selling it to people.
Mm.
But it was good food. People liked it. And, it helped them live a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, what's cool about that too is like that old saying, burn the ships behind you. Like it kind of seems like you just burn the ships behind you. It was like, I'm going all in on this, and just gonna make it work. And I think that's what it takes a lot of the time. And anytime you do an endeavor, is obviously you got to figure out when is the breaking point with things. But at the same time, you have to go all in, because I think it was Will Smith that said this line, obviously before he was smacking people around and stuff like that. But um, there shouldn't be a plan B, because it distracts from plan A. And I've always loved that line. I think this is when he was more Fresh Prince instead of his wife's little buddy. But
Jada Prince, yeah.
yeah, Jam.
Yeah.
And that actually leads me into like just thinking about like how you focus your energy, because you have built multiple different businesses, and they're very different in a lot of them. I think there are some commonalities, but at the same time, like, how do you decide on where your energy goes, and what's your filter for saying yes or even no for something?
Yeah. So I talk to a business coach, therapist all the time, and I'm a lot more, spiritual now than, that I, kind of than I ever was. I
Mm,
used to just, an opportunity came my way, I thought it was a good idea, I would just say, yeah,
run.
yeah, it's good, let's do it, or nah, let's not.
Yeah.
And uh, you know, some of my success, I mean, a lot of my early success has been, just trying a bunch of different shit, and some
Mm,
of it not working and some of it working, right. But when I had Body Fuel, it was, I was doing pretty good, and I've always believed that, even when I was going through that stuff, for some reason I don't know why, but I've just always believed that I was going to figure it out,
mm,
or like it's gonna work out. Like the tough times aren't going to last, but I'm going to try,
yeah.
right? And like I'll catch a big break, or something good's going to happen, and It's never really been like doomsday of like, you know, me failing and having to go move back to Montana and live with my dad's house or something like that.
Totally.
Uh, so I think just having the right mindset of, if you're doing the hard work, eventually you'll be rewarded for it.
Mm,
And, if you do good business, that all that good karma does come around. And like I was saying before, I'm a lot more spiritual in how I live and act now than I was, which surprising that I had, the good fortune and stuff that I did. Cause, I was a shithead too, so,
mm,
but when I had Body Fuel, that company was going good, and I was also in the cannabis industry,
mhm,
and because I struggled with sleep, you
mhm,
know, in college, and I was drinking shitloads of NyQuil, and one of my best friends owned a cannabis company. He's the first one that ever did brand deals like Snoop and Wiz Khalifa, and so
mhm.
he kind of started that whole mainstream, and he opened the first 24-hour dispensary on the Strip
Very cool.
called Reef, and so he was in that industry, and he's the one kind of propelled me to get into it, and start taking cannabis gummies at night to sleep.
Mhm,
And then I realized a lot of all of the companies were really shortchanging everybody. So if you got a 10 milligram, they'd really only put like 4 or 5 milligrams of THC in it, right?
yeah.
And because it's less concentrate that they're using for the gummy, so they can
Mhm,
spread they can still make the same amount of money but not use the same amount of THC, right? So
yep,
I went in and created my own gummy, and if it was a 10 milligram, it was 10 milligram, but it would
mm.
hit like it was a 20 because people weren't used to that, right? So uh people go in and buy my products for the same price, but it would last them longer because they'd only take a half instead of taking a full, right?
I was
So
about to say I would be taking a quarter of that and still being
yeah.
glued to the floor. Yeah,
Yep, exactly. So, that's just good business, right?
yeah.
That's the right way to do
Karma.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and simultaneously to having those two going on, I looked at the CBD market, and it was really growing rapidly. And the thing that attracted me the most about it versus the THC side of things. And I mean, I did my own flower, pre-rolls, gummies.
Mhm,
Um, but what attracted me to the CBD space in 2016 was there wasn't really anybody doing it.
mhm,
I could have been one of the first ones, and you could ship products across state lines,
mm,
and it was growing faster than the THC side of things.
right.
Um, just solely because you could ship it to somebody's doorstep versus THC. You have to have a license, be under a licensed facility, and you can only do business in that state.
Yeah.
So, call it a little bit of a stroke of luck, but I dove headfirst into that, and invested $18,000 into the business, and we did 40 million in the first 30 months.
Some serious numbers,
Yeah.
especially off an 18K investment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Nice margins there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, that's awesome. And I go back to the recognition patterns, seeing where things are going. Like you said, 2016. I mean, if you were smoking and stuff like that, I think you had a little bit of close ties to what was going on, but I don't think people really recognize what the beast of what it would become that it is today. And I still think it's still on the early side of things for some states. Like I'm out of Pennsylvania and it's still medicinal here. It's not recreational.
Yeah.
And that's the THC side of things. But even CBD has, I mean, that market has absolutely just exploded over the last decade.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was tough too, because like when you grow up in a small town like me and Montana, and my dad and their loggers, they drink beer, but
Hmm.
it's a no weed, no drugs.
Yeah.
If you smoke weed, you're a loser.
Hmm.
Like, right. So, and then so I got a lot of flack from back home, and me and my best friend growing up got into it and didn't talk for a couple years because he thought that I was going down the wrong path of
Especially being
being.
an athlete. Like if you were an
Yeah.
athlete, it was just like, oh, you can't, you got to be straight edge when it comes to
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I got a lot of flack just from that. My dad and I butted heads and like, oh, what are you going to go be a drug dealer now and this and that. And, when reality, we're helping, dogs with seizures, people get through chemo, headaches, people sleeping, so many different symptoms of just natural occurrences of life, anxiety
Yeah.
that really help people, get through their days. Muscle soreness, cramps, recovery. And that's what the products were really about.
Mm.
And it's what they really do. But if you don't know anything about it and you're not educated, and like I said, you only know what you know, right? So,
Totally.
you have a different philosophy on things than, someone seeing it through my lens.
I want to jump back real quick to your spirituality side of things that you're with now, and talk to me a little bit about that, because going through what I went through the last year and stuff, I've always had my faith belief and things like that, but I feel like it's been injected with steroids, for a lack of a better term. Anything I really want, just manifesting it and really like making it a reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I journal every single day.
Mm.
Um, I have this journal right here. I just get it off Amazon. It's called Everstrive. I've got you got the same one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great, right? So,
Yeah.
so I do that every day. I wake up 6:30. I wake up at 5, but I go to the gym at 6:30 to 7:30 every day, and then I come home from that workout and I run a couple miles, and then I'll either sit in the steam room or in the sauna,
Nice.
meditate, visualize, positive affirmations, stuff that I've already said to myself, at 5:15 in the morning that I wrote down, and try to kind of, uh, just guide my day to, so it's a positive one.
Yeah.
And, you know, from, from there, obviously, and then I read quite a bit as well. I
Nice.
try to read, 30 minutes in the morning, and then I start my work day. Excuse me. I start my work day at 9 a.m. So my mornings are for me. So,
Yeah.
I get my workouts done, do my reading, journaling, stuff like that. In the morning, that's me time.
Yeah.
I try not to really look at my phone too much, and it puts me in a good headspace for the day and moving forward. But now as I'm more aware of things, like, so business opportunities come my way, right? And I was talking to my business coach about this. I was like, how am I supposed to decipher uh you know, things I should be doing and things I shouldn't be doing? Because now if like an opportunity comes, I'm like, wait, did the universe send this to me for like some reason or something? Uh, and she gave me this pretty good thing to kind of, um, judge and base it on if it's a good decision for you to do it or not. And, uh, it's your head, your heart, and your junk.
Mm.
So in your head, you run the pros and cons of, why it's good or bad. In your heart, same thing, pros and cons, good or bad. Or if it's your ego, your junk,
Yeah.
and you run the pros and cons on that. And then after you get those answers, then you make a decision based off of that.
You hear that?
That's
So,
right.
for
That's right.
listeners, just looking down at my junk right now and telling them to listen up.
Yep. Yep. So, and she gave me a little tip to help make the best decisions that I possibly can.
How long have you been working with your business coach?
So she's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. She's a very, very intelligent lady, by the name of Lauren. She's done TED Talks. She only works with people that she chooses, but
Very cool.
a lot of celebrities, actors,
Yeah.
Fortune 500 CEOs. But she's like a therapist, business coach, very
Mm.
spiritual. Make sure that you're doing the things that you should be doing, that you have good karma coming your way, and she definitely calls you out on your shit. So
Mm.
that's stuff I need.
I think you got to be that Swiss Army knife, though. Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if you're just a coach, think about the headspace that a lot of I lead a team myself, and I feel like I'm part therapist half the time, just
yeah.
getting people in the right mindset of how they're doing things. And something that you brought up is just the morning routine of being selfish with yourself before the world kind of just starts punching you. There's so many people that want your energy and your attention, and if you're not giving yourself some of that before everybody else, how can you be your best version for other people? And I find that fascinating because it is super important when it comes to meditation. How long have you been doing it? But also, is it a struggle at points to like slow your mind down and just sit there and be at peace?
No, it's ironically, it's very easy for me. And
Mm,
I think it's because, like I don't mind leaving my phone in the other room or anything like that. Like that's just me time.
yeah.
And, you know, people kind of get, in my opinion, people get a little bit confused of meditation and your mind running wild and all that, right? Because that's what meditation is. You're supposed to just, whatever you think about, you're supposed to just let it come to you, and
Mm,
not try to control like your thoughts and things that you want to think about. And
right.
um, I went years ago, I think 3 years ago or so. I had a transcendental meditation
Oh,
lady give me
nice.
like a mantra and stuff. So, you just say that mantra over and over and over again. And sometimes you forget about it. And then, thoughts come in and you stop saying it and you just kind of start back over again. And,
Mm,
but, so I mean, that obviously helps. And, but, I just, whatever I think about. And, when it's time to get up, I get up.
yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
kinda like a river with your thoughts, just let them pass
yeah,
by
yeah, exactly. And then,
as it
you can
goes.
kind of, what you're thinking about, and the better I get at it, like I listened, it took a long time, but, I listened to my thoughts. So I almost kind of think that I meditate, throughout the entire day.
Mm,
Just because, a lot of people don't really listen to their thoughts. They think them, but they don't, if it's a bad thought, they don't correct it, if it's, whatever it may be, if it's, so like for me, for instance, I have the fear of like losing my parents. Right.
mm.
And so natural, right?
Yeah,
Majority of people
totally.
do. And she tells me that's little Cody talking. Right. So, you kind of get some perspective as you get older on, just kind of how to deal with it. And, when you think things like that, you erase that negative thought with, something that you would, really enjoy doing with them, when they're 90 years old. Like
Mm.
it's, you know, hanging out with my mom, camping or something. My dad's on the top of a mountain riding, UTVs, drinking a beer, something like that. So
Are they
it's,
still in Montana?
yeah, yeah, yeah. All my family's still in Montana.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm the only one that left. That's one thing about Montana is people don't really leave.
Yeah, kinda just stick around.
Yeah.
I'm from a very suburban area, but at the same time, a lot of folks that I grew up with, I mean, stone throw I know where they're at.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. If usually if people leave from Montana, they go to Seattle or they go to Denver.
mm.
That's about it. But it's still still striking distance.
In that vicinity for sure. There's been some really big wins for you, as we mentioned earlier with the 18K investment and what that was upward of. But what's a loss that's really taught you more than any of the success stories? And I think someone that comes to mind for me is, I mean, he's very, I mean, he's the GOAT, Tom Brady of like, he's like, let's talk about the losses. Like, there's a video of that when he's like, let's talk about the losses. He's like, I don't care about the wins, but I'm curious from your standpoint with these multiple businesses and just life itself, a lot of wins. What's been a defining loss that's reshaped and helped you become a better version of yourself?
Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, that's like I really think of it the exact same way that he does. Right. So I mean, I think you probably have you know 100 losses per one win, maybe
Yeah.
more,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And they're not losses, they're lessons. And the older, I didn't really understand that, kind of going on, but there's been so much stuff. I mean, when I was running Body Fuel, I got a DUI in
Mm,
2015, and didn't have a license, and I had to walk back and forth to my meal prep company, to my store, and we also did mobile deliveries twice a week, right? So on Mondays and Thursdays, and this is a little bit further along when I actually had a commercial kitchen after I got out of my apartment kitchen,
mm,
because I couldn't, I had to clear my food from my fridge uh, and put it in a cooler so I could put the meals that I cook for people in the fridge. So,
Unbelievable.
I got a couple coolers. And so once I stopped, I was just running out of space. Right. So,
Yeah.
uh, I, we finally got a commercial kitchen to cook in, but, I got DUI. I couldn't drive. And so I had to Uber the meals to the delivery points, right? So
Yeah.
I was spending extra money to have these delivered because I was the chef, I was the delivery driver, I worked the store, I just did it all,
Yeah.
and I would cook the meals, put them in a bag, whatever, and this Uber would come pick them up, and and drive them to this address, or when I got done cooking the meals, I'd load them all into an Uber, and we'd bring them all to the kitchen. Then I'd put them in the coolers there, so because people could come walk in and grab and go meals and
Totally.
smoothies and protein smoothies and protein bars and whatnot. But um, that one thing right there is just kind of determination of one thing that I went through. But I mean, this stuff goes on it goes on nonstop, right? I mean, starting even more recently, starting SkyMD, one of our very first manufacturers, we sent him $80,000
Wow.
for inventory, and he sent us a bulk of our inventory, like half of it. And when we were running low, we asked him where the other half was, and he started acting all funny, and we found out that he just made up some bullshit powder that wasn't our powder and started putting in these sticks, and the sticks were all wrong, and then he took our money too. And so I mean, these things happen literally nonstop. But there's I tend to, it's a blessing and a curse. I like to move fast
Yeah.
and make quick decisions. And sometimes it bites me in the ass, but it's also, I look back and, when I had multiple companies, and then I dove in and I started PureKana as well. Like, if I was just laser focused on just a meal prep company, like that opportunity would have come and passed, and I would have been sitting there just like every other guy in his garage when he's 55 years old drinking a beer with his neighbor, and be like, I was one of the first guys to think about that, but I didn't fucking do anything about it. And so
Yeah.
that's just not how I operate. It's never how I'll operate. And um I think that's a big reason why I'm at where I'm at today.
What's that saying? Something about the the graveyard has more ideas that are in there than anywhere else.
The graveyard has more ideas that go to die than
Then
yeah, I know what you're
just
talking about though.
yeah, like I think about that constantly because I mean everybody has that fear of action, like the fear of the unknown, the paralysis by analysis to a degree. But it's almost just like it. There's that picture I saw it recently where it's just like showing up is more than half the battle, or just taking risks. Like from a standpoint of like, look, you're not going to have all the answers, but you're just going to figure it out as you continue to go along. You'll figure out your risk mitigation of what needs more of my attention than other spots, and what needs 80% versus 30% or whatever the case may be. And I think that's something that it's great to be laser focused, and I think that's good for a task at hand. But for opportunities, to your point, if you're too laser focused or tunnel vision, you do end up drinking that Coors beer and talking about the what ifs and I could have done this, I could have done that, and you miss those opportunities. How do you did that just come natural to you, or did someone or a buddy or someone say like, look, you got to keep your obviously have blinders for what you want to focus on, but also keep your head open and be an optimist to a degree as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always for some reason I've always, been pretty optimistic about being successful and things that that I wanted in life. I don't think that I'm better than anybody, but I also don't think that anybody is also better than me. And so, if somebody else can do it, then why not me?
Yeah.
So, I think it's a really good mindset to have of no matter what it is, if it's, like I'm not a public speaker by any means. To be honest, I despise it. Not something that I want to do. It's something that I could do if I really wanted to, but when it comes in the business realm, there's a lot of people that are smarter than me. But I know a lot of people that make a lot of money in the e-commerce business, and a lot of them are not really that smart. And so, I mean, I think it's a scarcity factor that a lot of people think that, you got to be some genius to, start this business that you wanted to do or whatever. I mean, the amount of education that's online, all the AI now, the stuff that you can get at your fingertips from, Grok, ChatGPT,
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
learn anything that you want to learn and, in due time. And
yeah,
you don't really need a lot of help doing it. And you have a lot of resources that, you didn't have 5 years ago, 2 years ago,
totally.
that they you have now that can speed up the learning curve in the process. And I think the problem is with the majority of society in America is people go to school, they go to high school and they stop, or they'll go to college and they stop, and that's the last time that they learn anything new, so
Oh
that's why
yeah,
they
yeah.
stay the same.
Oh yeah, big time. That is like our country in a nutshell. It's like
Yeah,
unless you're sat at a desk or a classroom in general, it's like, oh, that's when I learned. For me, similar to you, like I was an average student, but like my learnings and everything come from my own time. Like I'm reading books, I'm listening. Like YouTube has become a university to me. Like
yeah, yeah,
I started gardening 5 years ago. Never gardened. I didn't know how to spell gardening, and I can put like I have five raised beds, grow bags everywhere now at this point, and my family like kind of thrives off this for 6 to 7 months, and then I do the canning and everything. Couldn't do any of that, but going back to I digress a little bit, but from a standpoint of like you never stop learning. It's kind of being a student of the game. That's what kind of fuels the next opportunities as you continue to go along.
yeah, exactly. And like I'm a big proponent of cryptocurrencies and things like that, and
Mm,
so I have my pillars of life that kind of interest me, and it's health and wellness, spirituality, business, and self mastery. So, and
mm,
those are the things that I'm interested in, that I focus on and I read about, and I think about, and I watch YouTube videos. And um, I'm more. I never, not that I'm into politics, but I do like to know what's really going on in the world
sure.
versus when, which is, I didn't give a fuck before. Like, I didn't care who was president, and it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Till pretty recently. Probably 4 or 5 years, but
Yeah.
that's changed. But thank God we got Donald in there now. But uh,
Four
you
five and 4 7.
yeah, that's right. Maybe 4 8 too. You never
Maybe
know.
four. Yeah. Yeah, we're very happy about that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, obviously, as you grow and you get older, and like I don't have a family yet, but hopefully soon. And but as you grow and you evolve and you grow up and you mature, um, things that I did when I was younger, I would never do now. And
mm,
now as I grow, and I just want to make sure that my future kids can look at me and be proud that I'm their dad, and
totally.
be happy that I'm that person.
I think it's very key for any parent. Now, with me being a father of a 2-year-old little girl who is basically a girl version of me at that age, who is an absolute complete maniac, you want to obviously teach them the right things and show them the ropes of like as you were taught, the hard work, the right mindset to approach things and from your mistakes, and they'll make their own mistakes of how they're going through life. I think that's evolution in a nutshell. But I want to jump back real quick and ask you, what books have you read? Which ones have really been kind of, I
Man,
see them in the background. I got mine in the back here.
yeah, I got a bunch, man. You know, for business wise, I love Seth Godin. He's one of the
Mm,
greatest marketers of all time.
yeah.
Anything by Young Pueblo. He's very into self mastery.
Yep.
Kind of all areas of life is very good. And then John Bishop's obviously he's very good as well.
Can't go wrong. And it looks like you do and I do too, but I've been getting more with audio just because I'm on the go a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. So I mix it up. So I try to read, I'll split it up. So I'll do a self-help book in the morning, and uh I try to split up in 2 sessions really. So a self-help book, 20, 30 minutes in the morning and then an afternoon, but it's different. So it's not the same book. So I
Sure.
always read two at a time.
Mm.
So self-help book in the morning, business book in the afternoon, or vice versa. Or, a lot of times I go on walks in the afternoon and it's always podcast or it's a book.
Mm.
And, my phone's on do not disturb. I'm not on it. I'm walking. I'm, thinking I used to always say this thing growing up is, you see people walking. I was like, God, that's got to be a happy motherfucker to just be on a walk.
Yeah. I
And,
love that one.
now I get it. Now I was
Yeah.
like, damn, that guy, they had it figured out the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So like, even, I'm having a tough day or whatever. To be honest, I like to just go walk that shit out.
Yeah.
Just go be in nature. It's crazy what it does for your mind. And how much it helps just, think things through and, the ideas that come to you. But when I'm listening to a book, I use Notion or, you can use notes or whatever, but
Mhm.
when things resonate with your book, I have the book title. And then when I'm going through it, I'll have things that hit me on the book. So like later on,
Oh, yeah.
when I have that, when I want to read the book again, or if I want to go back to that book and look at, notes that I have, I can just read everything that resonated with me in,
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Your point about walks, game changer. And it's so simple because it's like
Yeah.
literally doing what you do on a daily basis, just putting one foot in front of the other. We do it every morning, just go on a 2 mile walk and it just clears your mind so much for the day. I don't feel like I got that brain fog that you deal with. Like if you don't get that morning exercise in, obviously I like lifting weights and everything too, but walks are super underrated for what they can do for you.
Yeah. It's probably one of the most underrated things there is out there, to be honest. Obviously, I do both, but, I go to the gym early, but, if I'm having just like a shit day or, if something bad's going on, I'd rather go on a walk than go do anything else.
Yeah, yeah, it's, minimal resistance. It definitely pays off just staying consistent with it. I wanna get into SkyMD real quick, just talking about our health, our wellness, and how we are in a day-to-day. This brand is really focused on energy, hydration, and focus. What gap are you guys trying to solve, and how do you validate it before for really building it?
Yeah. So really what happened is, during COVID, me and my two buddies, we were drinking Drip Drop, Liquid IV,
Yep.
LMNT, and we thought that, it was a really healthy product and good for us to be drinking besides, drinking like a Gatorade or something. Right.
Mhm.
So, we decided we wanted to make our own. We reverse engineered everybody that was in the space. It took us a year to create with our formulation. We found out that, most of these sticks out there are either 70% sugar or 90% salt with, very minimal nutritional value. And so what we wanted to do is, we created something that, isn't anything like it out there. Like we have 6 different types of electrolytes. We have 6 times the daily value of vitamin C, 4 different types of B vitamins. We use uh, uh, plant derived magnesium. So it comes from red marine algae, and it's the most bioavailable form of magnesium that you can put into your body.
Mm.
And so it really helps when you're drinking the electrolytes and the vitamins and minerals, 92 trace minerals, that you actually absorb them instead of just peeing it out. Because most of these companies, like Liquid IV doesn't even have magnesium, but like LMNT, they use, magnesium chloride, and that's all. It's just salt. So,
Yeah.
you just pee that out. Your body doesn't even actually absorb it. So,
Retain it. Yeah.
yeah. So, we wanted to create a suite of products with the hydration immunity, hydration energy, hydration sleep. And we're the only company that you can even get this product from, and it's the hydration greens.
Mm.
It has 28 superfoods, 11 vitamins and minerals.
I'll take my sip of it as
Yeah, there
we
you go.
talk.
Yeah, it has pre-probiotics, digestive enzymes, adaptogens, and 1,200 milligrams of electrolytes.
It's phenomenal. I subscribe. If anything, I probably got to ask you how many of these can slam in a day? It's very good. And we were talking off air beforehand. I think I clearly feel a difference because something with my brain surgery that I dealt with post is headaches. Not like what I had in my surgery before my surgery, but more of just feeling like I'm dehydrated, headaches. And if I have one of these within 30 minutes, I can feel myself kind of, it almost feels like I plugged myself in to recharge a little bit. And I just feel like the brain fog leaves, the headache goes away without having to take Advil and things like that. And that is something that I try to navigate away from, that SkyMD has really helped me out with, even my wife as well. So kudos to what you guys are doing there, because it is something special.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean that's, we're just trying to get everybody off the junk, really. I mean, a lot of these people have, the same type of formulas, and we really just wanted to be different. We're trusted by over 1,000 doctors, Informed Sport certified, which is the most rigorous testing you can get for a supplement. They test down to the millionth nanogram. So
Yeah.
the nutrients and stuff that you see on our packaging, it ensures that those are actually in our stuff, and not many people can say that.
You know what's so wild about all this too? Like just a short time ago, like the beginning of COVID, I was having liquid IVs and I'm like, oh man, my hangover is going to be gone. I'm going to feel great the next day. I still felt like shit. I mean, granted, there was probably 15 plus beers involved in that, but at the same time, uh, I was expecting so much more from this product, and without even realizing how much sugar was in it, that wasn't even doing myself any favors. And the nutrients that you were talking about as well. I mean, magnesium plays such a huge part in our health now, especially for me, for sleep.
Yeah.
It is it's critical. And
Yeah,
for
they
anybody
they
that,
used they
yeah,
used to have magnesium in the product, and they took it out because
which
it's
makes
the
no
most
sense.
expensive electrolyte that there's
Yeah.
out there. So they're just it's a big corporation owned by the Chinese, and
Mm.
they just care about their margins.
Definitely obvious that they do. And for anybody that hasn't tried SkyMD yet, to your point, everything is listed right on each packet of what you're getting and putting into your body. And I think that transparency is more important than ever, especially in this health transition that we're going in as a country right now. People really want that honesty with whatever type of food or supplements that they're putting into their body. They want to know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, our entire goal, is we want to be the most trusted electrolyte brand in the world, and
Mm.
I think the more that we can, continue to educate people on not all electrolytes are the same. Uh, you know, the more they learn about it,
Yeah.
they'll try us out and give it a shot and see what we're all about.
Cody, it's been awesome having you, man. Last question before I let you go. What's the rest of 2025 look for you in the second half, and even 2026 if you're thinking that far out?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, I acquired a new brand at the end of last year. It's the world's first magnetic glass protection. So, we use marine grade materials to build these covers, and we put magnets inside of it to help RVs, UTVs, marine heavy machinery. So when they're being transported, it protects the glass from rocks, road debris, weather, and, just building that. Uh, SkyMD is growing, faster than we can keep up with it. So we can barely keep, enough inventory. We're about having to place another order right now, and we just had an inventory order land in November. So all good things, but that's really, my main focus is, growing those couple brands, keeping my nose to the grindstone, and my motto for 25 is momentum.
Mm,
So,
momentum.
once momentum's a hell of a thing in sports and also in life. And I
Yeah.
believe if, you keep working hard and, I don't do a lot much anymore. I don't do a lot anymore, like going out or anything like that. So I'm kind of spend a lot of alone time, but, it's kind of my lonely chapter of life that I'm going through right now. I mean, obviously I have, my girlfriend Morgan, so I'm not
Yeah.
entirely by myself.
Yeah.
But it's just a chapter of life that I'm going through. To really, I've had some success, and I've been, lucky to, kind of be where I'm at. But I think that, I have a couple more big wins in my future before I hang it up.
Hell yeah. And also, please tell me you're still getting some golf rounds in.
Yeah, actually, I am. Love hate. I had member last weekend, and I played. I played absolutely like dog shit. So I don't really want to look at a club right now, but I have a member guest next weekend. So I might have to try and just, I put a simulator in my house and that just completely
Nice.
fucked me. Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking about the swing a little too much
Yeah. No,
now.
I mean, it's just, I had it set up wrong at first. And first month I had it, I was only chasing ball speed. And I used to have this little short swing like Rom,
Yeah.
280, 290 down the middle of the fairway. Never missed a fairway. Now I got two-way misses, swing super fucking long like John Daly. I hate it. So I got to go back to the drawing board, man.
Yeah, simplify it, man, and have that amnesia with the swing too. I got a golf trip coming up next week, and that's the big thing with me. I had a couple worm burners on the range today when I hit some balls, and I'm like, all right, I can't be bringing that to my
Yeah,
trip.
I mean, to be honest, right now, bro, I'm just trying to make contact.
Yeah.
I go from a scratch scratch golfer to an 8, and when you used to be recreationally good.
Yeah.
And you go out there and you post an 84, it just feels like you shot 120. So
We call that a Ray Ray. Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes it's Ray Floyd, sometimes it's Ray Charles. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Cody, thanks again, man. Hopefully we get a chance to tee it up in the future with us and the boys. And shout out to the Bell Boys again for all that they do as well. One of the best families that we know.
Yeah, man, it's 5 o'clock there. They're probably drinking some Rainiers about now.
I was about to say, I was talking to them a little earlier. I know Dino's on his way to Canada, his second home, and I don't know what the other one's up to, but
Yeah.
I know he's
Oh,
up to
good. I'll
something.
tell you that.
Yeah, no good for sure. But awesome, man. I will let you get back to it. Thank you again, and for everybody listening, thank you for listening to another episode of the 1% Bttr Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.